A woman sat in Carl Jung's office, and she could not be reached. Brilliant, and sealed inside her own reason. Every feeling she had, she'd already explained to herself before it could touch her. Months of sessions, and nothing in her had moved. One morning she was describing a dream. In it, someone had handed her a piece of golden jewelry, a scarab beetle. And as she said the word, Jung heard a tapping on the window behind him. He turned, opened it, and a beetle flew in. A rose chafer, the nearest thing his gray climate had to a golden scarab, the one insect in the garden with no reason to be at that glass in that second. He caught it and held it out to her. "Here's your scarab." Something cracked in her that no argument had reached in months. Jung had a name for what just happened. He called it synchronicity. And almost everyone who uses that word today has it backwards. In the next few minutes, I'll show you what synchronicity actually is. Not the universe sending you a sign, not a number on a clock, and why getting it wrong keeps you waiting for a message that was never going to come from out there. Because what tapped on that window wasn't the cosmos. Hold on to the beetle. We'll come back to what it was really doing to her. You already know the watered-down version. You glance up and it's 11:11, so it must be a sign. Somewhere, a voice promises that if you keep seeing the number, what you want is on its way. That reading feels good, and it costs you nothing, which is the first clue it's wrong. It turns the deepest idea Jung ever reached for into a vending machine in the sky, a cosmos that exists to confirm your wishes. Synchronicity is not the universe sending you a sign. It is meaning, surfacing where there is no cause. Here is what Jung actually meant, and it's stranger than the comfortable version. A synchronicity is a meaningful coincidence, a dream, or a grief you're carrying, that lines up with an event in the outer world, when nothing links the two except the meaning itself. The beetle didn't cause her breakthrough. Her dream didn't summon the beetle. And still, the two of them landed together with a weight she couldn't argue away. That's the part the manifestation crowd leaves out. Synchronicity isn't about getting the thing you asked for. Half the time, it arrives at the worst possible moment, about something you'd been working very hard not to look at. It doesn't flatter you. It corners you. So, why would a man like Jung, serious, and as respected as any mind of his age, risk his name on something this close to the supernatural? Because he wasn't alone in it. The book where he laid synchronicity out in 1952, he wrote with Wolfgang Pauli, a Nobel Prize-winning physicist, one of the architects of quantum mechanics. A man who spent his life on the laws of cause and effect was standing beside Jung, saying the same thing. Cause and effect may not be the only way two events can be joined. That was Jung's real claim, and it's the unsettling one. He called synchronicity an acausal connecting principle. We're taught that two things relate in only one way. One pushes the other, cause and effect. Jung was pointing at a second way. Things can belong together, not by force, by meaning. And he noticed something specific about when these moments come. Not on ordinary afternoons when nothing is at stake. They cluster around the hinge points. A loss you didn't choose, a decision you can't stop circling. They come when something deep in you has been stirred awake and is pressing toward the surface, which raises the question the comfortable version never asks. If these moments rise when you're most churned up inside, where are they actually coming from? Here's the turn, and it's the whole video. The coincidence is not aimed at you from the sky. It is rising out of you, into the world. Under the daylight mind you think with, Jung mapped a deeper one, the unconscious, where the parts of yourself you've buried go on living without your permission. The grief you never finished, the path you talked yourself out of, and the man you were supposed to become quietly shelved along with it. It doesn't disappear because you stopped looking. It builds pressure. A synchronicity is the moment that buried thing gets loud enough to reach the surface, loud enough that, for 1 second, the inside and the outside rhyme, the dream and the beetle, the thought and the phone. It feels like the world reaching in, because we have no other language for something that arrives with that much weight. But it's the opposite direction. It's the depth in you, finally breaking through to a man who wouldn't listen any other way. Now go back to the window. The beetle wasn't a message from the cosmos. The scarab across the ancient world was the symbol of rebirth, and rebirth was the exact thing her armored mind had refused for months. Her own depths had been pressing that demand at her, and she'd explained it away every time. So it came through the one door her reason couldn't bar. It didn't break her defense from outside. It rose up underneath it. If you've seen the video on your future self, you've met this from the other side. Something in you that knows where you're meant to go, pulling and willing when you ignore it long enough to bend the world for a second, to get your eyes up. Now, the honest part, the part the spiritual videos skip. Most coincidences are just coincidences. Your mind is a pattern finder that never sleeps. It will draw a face on a wall and a meaning onto noise all day long. If you go looking for signs, you'll find 1,000, and most of them are nothing. That's exactly why the real ones don't need chasing. You don't hunt a true synchronicity. It finds you, usually at a crossroads, and it lands with a charge that's hard to put down, a strange certainty that this one was for you. And when one does, the worst thing you can do is the thing everyone teaches. Try to decode it, to read it like a fortune and ask what you're supposed to get. It is not a sign to chase. It is a door you've been standing in front of, pretending not to see. The question is never what the universe is telling you to want. It's quieter and harder. What have I been refusing to face? That just got loud enough to leak into the world? And this is what it costs you to get it wrong. You can spend 10 more years waiting for a sign clear enough to finally obey. The clearest one you'll ever get has probably already come. An afternoon, something lined up too well, and you called it a coincidence, because the alternative asked too much of you. So the next time it happens, and at the right moment in your life, it will, don't reach for your phone to look up what it means. Sit in it. Ask what in you has been waiting at that window a long time, tapping, trying to be let in. It was never the universe keeping score. It was the part of you that you buried, still alive, still reaching. The coincidence already did its work. It got your eyes up. The rest is yours. See you in the next one.